Welcome to this Skillable platform update for the Skillable Studio product. My name is Paul Gregory. I'm a solutions engineer here at Skillable. So I'm recording this on the 22nd of December. So this will cover the two updates we pushed out during December. Being December and being the holiday season, we try to minimize any updates that are too disruptive. Some of these updates for people that have attended the lab developer workshops will be quite familiar with them. Based on the fact that some of these things we've been talking about coming. So hopefully there's not going to be anything too amazing here. So first and foremost, we have some updates which don't directly impact lab developers. So the first thing is we're changing the update cadence for the Skillable Studio platform. So a lot of people would know we've been working on the infrastructure, the stuff, the architecture behind the product, and it's going to allow us to update more frequently and so on. So we're hopefully going to see a cadence greater than monthly as we've done for most of 2022. Unless you work in languages like Chinese, in languages like Korean, you wouldn't really notice this, but we've noticed a couple of localization issues in our platform, specifically around @lab tokens and the % task complete if you use the checkbox and track people's progress. So we've resolved those issues as part of the strive to improve localization all the time. We've also made some improvements to Lab Advisor. Lab Advisor was generating some false positives, so we've actually cleaned up the code in there to minimize those false positives. Things that do impact lab authors, lab developers, is we've now actually added a retry count. So for those that were attending lab developer workshops, they will remember we were talking about the fact that we had over robustness retry code, which in some edge case scenarios was causing our platform either to fail from a scoring perspective or more commonly going into this infinite retry loop. So we actually changed that code, so which actually did take some of the robustness out of the environment, but it actually became far more effective in resolving these edge cases. Having done that, what we then wanted to do was put back into the power of the lab developer the ability to control if they need to use retries for lifecycle actions or for automated based activities. So both of these dialogues now have a retry count, which by default is set to 0, but you can absolutely go in there and change that and add some retrying if you believe that's applicable for the scenario that you're working for. What we've also then got is some new virtual machine types in both our Azure and our AWS environment. We have more in the Azure environment because generally we have more customers that use Azure, and these were driven by customer requests. So from an Azure point of view, we've now actually onboarded some of the DC virtual machine types that support secure compute. So if you've not come across secure compute from Intel, it's a trusted enclave that sits inside the processor that a developer can actually put their code in and guarantee their code cannot be tampered with. Think of it like a TPM, but on a processor for running secure code. So we've put some of those machine types in based on a customer request. The other virtual machine types we've implemented in Azure is the EAV4 virtual machine types. We put these in specifically because if you're an Azure enterprise customer, there are some cost promotions and benefits in using these virtual machine types. So it can reduce your Azure costs. For the AWS, two things. We've introduced a new large virtual machine type, again, based on a customer request, a customer need. So we've just added that single virtual machine type, or an EC2, I should say. And we've also fixed a problem we found. We don't know if this was a change in AWS or what actually was the root cause of this, but effectively when a lab profile was saved, it wasn't suspending EC2s correctly. So that's all been resolved. So EC2 suspend correctly and therefore again reduce your costs if someone saves a lab profile. So that's the changes. So relatively small sets of changes for December 2022. I'd just like to highlight to you that we are having a lab developer workshop, so they will be back in January. The first lab developer workshop is going to be on the 26th of January 2023, and it will be around our shared labs fabric technology. So we've not talked about shared labs for a little while, So we're going to bring those back into focus, highlight a couple of use cases for those. So hopefully you'll join me on the 26th of January when we talk about shared labs. I'd like to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and thank you for all the time you spent listening to me over 2022. Thank you. See you in January.